Welcome to the art room. I am Miss Tebow, your art teacher, and I'm excited to have you in class. We have art class one time a week for 50 minutes, so we have to make sure to use our time wisely, and we need to follow some very important rules. Line up in the hallway quietly on your tape. When welcomed into the art room, come in quietly, sit in your assigned seat, and face the board. Do not touch anything on your table. Hands should be in your lap. There may be soap bubbles and water on your table from the class before you. Please wait to wipe it clean until after instructions. This is what a student should look like when listening to instructions. Keep your body to yourself and do not distract other learners with noises or movements. Your hands should be in your lap. Wait until after instructions to when Mrs. Tebow announces, "Are there any questions?" to ask your questions. Raise your hand to ask a question. Taking care of materials. You will also need to make sure to use materials properly so that the entire school will be able to use them and the materials will last all year. Follow these rules for materials. Use only one piece of paper. If you make a mistake, flip it over or erase it. Be a problem solver. Mrs. Tebow has 1,000 students every week and bought one paper per student. So if you throw yours away and get a second paper, you are wasting a paper for another friend. Keep this in mind while you are making your art. Try your hardest and do your best work. Have a positive attitude and remember our classroom motto. We don't do perfect here, we do process. Be respectful of other people at your table. Share materials and don't distract others. Watch the timer to stay on track. Raise your hand if you have a question. Do not walk up to Miss Tebow and interrupt her working. Always raise your hand and stay in your seat. Stay on task. You should always be working on your project, never sitting around and talking. If you need to stand to work, always push your chair in and stand behind you so Mrs. Tebow can still walk easily throughout the room. Recognize when your work is done. Don't overdo it. If an area is already colored, it does not need to be colored again. An artist needs to know when to stop so they don't ruin their art. Once you receive your artwork, you should begin working immediately. Students, collect a pencil, please. Always use a pencil to write your name and teacher on the back of your art in the bottom right corner. After directions, Mrs. Tebow will announce who the helper is for the day. If your helper is not there, she will call a backup helper. Look at us now. Students, please check your chair and raise your hand if you are helper number 4 today. Awesome, it looks like we're missing a 4 at purple. Your backup helper will be number 3. Raise your hand 3. Helpers will be in charge of collecting materials. Helpers, please come to the material counter. And please take one paper and one marker for every student at your table. One paper only, boys and girls, always one paper. Make sure table trays are organized. 5 pencils, 5 scissors, 5 glue bottles, 2 erasers. Erasers are to share. They should never be held in your hand. Use the eraser and then place it back on the table when you're done. Also, do not stab the eraser with a pencil. This will damage the eraser and you will have even fewer to use at your table. Close the glue bottles and stand them up in the tray. If you are missing a pencil or your pencil is not sharp, you can get one from the sharp pencils jar right over here. Erasers are to share. They should never be held in your hand. Use the eraser and then place it back on the table when you're done so other students can use it too. There are 2 erasers per table to share. Keep materials at your own table and leave them in the middle of the table. If you are missing a marker, don't take it from another table. Raise your hand and the teacher will give you a new one. Respect materials. Tell Mrs. Tebow if something is not working and she will replace it. Always put materials back where they came from when you're finished. If you finish a project early, raise your hand to show Ms. Tebow. Use the correct side of the room to put your artwork on the drying rack. Remember to put your art on the lowest shelf so that other students can see the next shelf. Put small papers on the small rack, big papers on the big rack. Turn your art so that it fits properly in the shelf. Never place your art on top of another student's art. It will smear their art and your art will stick together when it dries. One tray has scratch paper for free drawing. Scratch paper means it is leftover worksheets that teachers don't need anymore. You can flip it over and draw on the back. Remember, 1 paper only. If you decide you don't like your drawing and crinkle it up and throw it away, that does not mean you get a second paper. Your 1 paper has been used. Please select a book instead. One tray has drawing worksheets. You can take 1 drawing worksheet along with 1 scratch paper to your table and look at the worksheet to learn how to draw something on your paper. All materials are returned to the activity shelf at cleanup, and your free drawing can go home with you. Start cleaning when the bell rings. Even if you are not done, everyone must stop and clean. Don't worry, you'll get to work on your project next art class. Put your name on the back of your art and put it on your counter. Front class will put their art on the counter by the activity shelf. Back class will put their art on the counter by the back sink. Once your area is clean, it's your job to sit in your chair so you are out of the way of the helpers cleaning up. The helper's main job is to wash your table with a sponge. The sponges are located in the green tray. Only the helper is allowed to pick up a sponge. There is only 1 sponge per table. Never add water or soap to the sponge. It is already prepared by Mrs. Tebow. Watch the clock and all students should be at their table sitting quietly at your clean table by the time it says 0. All right, boys and girls, class is over. I need Miss Miller's class to please push in your chairs and line up ABC order on your table. Thank you for lining up quickly and quietly. Miss Murray's class, please push in your chairs and line up quickly and quietly. Both classes should have your hands to yourself facing forward with our sounds off. The art room should always look like this when class is over. The tables are clean, the chairs are pushed in, and the trays are in the middle of the table. After both classes are lined up, they will be escorted out to the dismissal lines in the hallway and wait quietly to be picked up by their teachers. Boys and girls, this is art volume. You've earned your tea back. You can please flip the tea. If our door says art, we will have a paw print at the end of class. Great job, everybody. You are expected to make positive choices all class. If your wall still says art at the end of class, your class will earn a paw print. The paw print is given out to the entire class and represents great choices. If your wall does not say art at the end of class, you will not earn your paw print. Your class will not have a paw print on that day. One student will always win the Peacemaker in art class as well. The Peacemaker is for a student who is being kind, helpful, caring, and peaceful during art class. Today's Peacemaker is Lauren. All special area teachers ask that you use the bathroom before and after specials. We don't have a bathroom in our classrooms, and we also don't want you to miss out on important information. Please only ask to use the bathroom if it's a true emergency. A true emergency means that you are about to have an accident. If you have an emergency, you will raise your hand. Mrs. Tebow will choose a partner for you. The two partners will take a pass from the door and walk together to the closest bathroom across from the cafeteria. Partners stay together at all times and come back quickly so they can continue on their artwork. If a student continues to have behavior issues and receives 3 warnings from Ms. Tebow, they may have a consequence of earning a pup communication. A wolf pup communication is a small note that will be given to your teacher and taped in your planner and go home with you to explain to your family that you made a poor choice in art. I'm excited to be your art teacher this year, and I can tell we're going to have a great year. Yay!